On a cold night in November 1971, a quiet man walked into Portland Airport in Oregon. He wore a dark suit, a white shirt, a black tie, and dark sunglasses. He looked like an ordinary passenger carrying a small briefcase. He bought a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. A few hours later, that name would become one of the most famous mysteries in American history. Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 and sat near the back of the plane. He ordered a drink, lit a cigarette, and stayed strangely calm. Shortly after takeoff, he called a flight attendant and handed her a small note. At first, she thought it was just another message. Then, he quietly said, "You should read that note. I have a bomb." The flight attendant froze. The note said he wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting when the plane landed in Seattle. But the strangest part was his calm. He did not shout. He did not panic. He did not openly threaten the passengers. He acted like a man who had already planned every second. The message reached the pilots, then the authorities. While the plane circled above Seattle, police and the FBI prepared the money and parachutes. The passengers were told there was a small technical problem. They had no idea that a man sitting behind them was changing aviation history. After hours of tension, the plane landed in Seattle under the rain. Cooper received the money and parachutes. Then, he allowed all the passengers to leave. Everyone walked off the plane alive, but Cooper stayed on board. He ordered the pilots to take off again, this time toward Mexico. Then he gave them strange instructions. Fly low, fly slow, and keep the rear of the plane ready to open. The aircraft was a Boeing 727 with rear stairs that could be lowered during flight. It seemed Cooper knew this detail very well. The plane took off again into a dark, stormy night. Rain covered the windows. Clouds filled the sky. Below were endless forests and rivers in the American Northwest. In the back of the plane, Cooper was almost alone, with the money and parachutes beside him. Then he told the flight attendant to go to the cockpit and stay there. Minutes later, the crew felt a sudden change in air pressure. They knew the rear door had opened. Somewhere above the dark forests, D.B. Cooper jumped from the plane with $200,000. And from that moment, he disappeared. When the plane later landed in Reno, investigators entered the cabin. Cooper was gone. All they found were a few pieces of evidence, including the black tie he had left behind. The search began immediately. Authorities searched forests, rivers, mountains, roads, and small towns. But they found no body, no parachute, and no bag of money. Did Cooper survive the jump, or did he die that night? No one knows. Years passed, and the case remained unsolved. Then, in 1980, a young boy was digging in the sand near the Columbia River with his family. Suddenly, he found old bundles of cash buried near the riverbank. When investigators examined the money, they discovered it was part of Cooper's ransom. But instead of solving the mystery, it made everything more confusing. How did the money reach the river? Did it fall during the jump? Did Cooper bury it himself? Did he die nearby? Or did someone else find it and throw it away? Most of the ransom money was never found. Over the decades, many suspects appeared. Some looked like Cooper. Some had military experience. Some knew airplanes. A few even made strange claims before they died. But every time, something was missing. The age did not match. The face was not right. The story had no proof, or the evidence was not strong enough. Even the black tie he left behind was examined years later, but it never revealed his identity for certain. It was as if Cooper left just enough evidence to stay in history, but not enough to be caught. In 2016, the FBI announced that it would redirect its resources to other cases after decades of investigation. But the mystery of D.B. Cooper did not end. Who was he? Was he a genius who planned the perfect escape? Or was he a desperate man who jumped into a storm and never survived? Maybe the truth was lost in the forest. Maybe it was carried away by the Columbia River. Or maybe it died with the only man who knew the answer. A man with no real name, a plane in a storm, a bag full of money, and one jump from the sky that made him disappear from the world and enter history. This was today's story from ATHAR. If you believe Cooper survived, right, he survived. And if you believe he died that night, right, he did not survive. Do not forget to subscribe, because some secrets do not disappear. They only wait for someone to search for their trace.